Just because Bruce Campbell has officially retired Ash doesn't mean we can't check out some new offerings from the folks over at NECA. This is NECA's new Asylum Ash Williams figure. Based on the TV series Ash vs. Evil Dead, this is Ash Williams in his Asylum outfit. Comes with a couple of accessories, all of which it will look at after we look at the packaging. Let's quickly grab the tape measure to figure out how tall the figure stands. And we are looking at roughly about a 6.5 inch tall figure. Rather disturbing sight to see a severed head on the side. But let's have a look at his accessories, then we'll have a look at the figure. First things first, he does come, this is his defaulted head when you immediately get it out of packaging. Not a bad looking likeness of one Bruce Campbell. I happen to also be using one of the NECA head stands, which, because of the nature of the figure having just a peg rather than a ball joint, I just took the ball joint out of the head stand, and I just had it on top like so. The alternate head sculpt is slightly more, well, he's a little bit more open-eyed, a little more sterner face, whereas the one here has a smirk on his face. I have to admit, though, that the head sculpts here I like more than I liked the original Ash vs. the Evil Dead figures that NECA had released. I think that these capture a closer resemblance to not only Ash, but of course Bruce Campbell. I'm not really sure of the two which one I like more. I do like this head sculpt, but I think I might actually gravitate a little bit more towards this one here. To change out the head, you just simply grab the torso or any bit of the figure that you can hold on to and just wiggle the head off of the peg. NECA has lately been using these small narrow pegs as opposed to ball joints. I guess they realized with ball joints you do run the risk that if the socket in which the ball joint sits inside of, is too stubborn, you could potentially break the peg. So instead they've gone the route, it seems, of using the thin narrow peg, which I think actually works better in my honest opinion. But there are the two head sculpts. Once again, we'll bring in the now severed head to my left versus the one with neck on the right. Let me know down below which one you actually prefer. The hair is relatively the same. This one actually comes across a little bit more wet than this one here. A little bit more of a sweatier complexion. His other accessory, technically, if you don't want to count the chainsaw, which the chainsaw is detachable, it's just got a peg on the end there, and it just attaches like so. If you don't count that one and strictly out of packaging, his only other accessory is a shotgun. The shotgun can either be housed in the back holster of his back, like so, which it does sit, in all honesty, a little on the tight side. Trying to figure out the best way to fit this in. I'm actually hitting resistance every which way, but it seems like the best way to fit it in place is by having the trigger facing his back torso. At least that's what I found was the best way to do it. You can also go ahead and take the shotgun and fit it into his hand, and you will immediately notice that his finger is pointing, suited perfectly for fitting its way around the trigger, if we can get actually around the handle there. The finger fits perfectly actually around the trigger, but ironically enough, it fits better behind the trigger than it does in the front, where you would hope that it would be firing. Display options, I'm not really sure whether I would display them with the shotgun, but it does of course go hand in hand. As funny as I would say that, with having really only one hand available. Let's go ahead and take that out of his hand, speaking of which. So here we have Ash in his Asylum outfit. A rather slight departure from what we may be used to seeing with Ash figures. It's actually a nice breath of fresh air. As much as I love the blue shirt or the red outfit that we had him in earlier, it's actually nice to see him in more like this ragged sort of, Asylum outfit here that he's sporting. It does make, though, for a figure that from first glance, if not for the chainsaw, you may not be actually able to place what figure this is based from, because people are so commonly used to seeing Ash, for example, with a blue shirt and brown pants. Here you get something very drastically different. The colors are a combination of creams, darker versions of cream, brown, and lighter shades of gray. So there's really a lot of muted, unexciting colors, non-exciting colors to be said here. Really where they nail a lot of this, as they normally do, is the sculpt and the likeness, which I think bang on once again. I love the nature of the tattered sleeves, these ripped away portions of his shirt sleeves, or jacket sleeves, so to speak. I like how these are a separate material. You can almost even see, or you can see, how it is attached to the top portion, which this is plastic. This here is softer plastic, a little softer rubber, so to speak. The same thing could be said on this side, although here you actually get treated to an undersleeve as opposed to the bare arm on the one side there. A lot of rips, a lot of tattered areas on the outfit, and the lower portion of it, by no accident here, is a darker color, really wet and covered in slime and all that other goodness. Still, his boots remain somewhat unscathed, although they are very wet in their paint as well. He's got peg holes on the undersides of his feet. Not to say that the figure really has any problems standing. As for the chainsaw, tried and true, his go-to. Chainsaw is very nicely sculpted here. I'm sure has been reused before. The blade now here is a darker gray borderline black with some nice flexing little flecks of paint kind of sprinkled in there, so it's kind of almost got like a glittering effect to it. This I can only describe as very fragile, so you can almost even hear how the plastic is a little more of a thinner variety, so be careful of that. Nice looking chainsaw though. The aged wear that they add to it via paint really does make it look old, weathered, and used. Even looks like it's covered in like oil and slick, mud, and again, whatever else Ash has met along the way. Some nice detailing there also around the arm area in which the chainsaw is attached to. It is actually a rather nice breakup to the otherwise very, muted nature of the rest of his body. The red really adds to a little bit of extra pop that I think is much needed here, that if it was solely just for the sake of argument of describing this for the figure, say the chainsaw wasn't even part of the equation, it would make for the figure a little bit more, a little blander. So the pop of red definitely does add to that a lot. Articulation on this guy. His head rotates all the way around. You have the hinge happening up and down. The shoulders do feel, I have to admit, a little on the restricted side. To about there is where I can get the arm. I feel like it should really be able to go a little higher, but anything after that, I run the risk that it could potentially break, so definitely don't want that happening. Arms rotate all the way around. He has a rotation happening actually at the top, about the mid area of the bicep is where that arm swivels. And a rather interesting sight to see, which I haven't seen on many figures, is a double hinge happening, but it's at a very visible nature. I guess it's because the arm is of a flesh color. You can see like the very noticeable double hinge happening there. So you got a hinge here, and then you got a secondary hinge happening there, which benefits as well if you want to have him holding the shotguns just straight up. You can accomplish that. This arm does the exact same thing. You've got the double hinge on the elbow. It seems a little on the restricted side, like it couldn't go completely all the way, and it might seem a lot of that because just the way the sleeve has been cut around that second hinge. He does have what looks to be an ab crunch because technically this is all soft plastic. So the torso is in there. It's hidden in there. It's just covered over with like a softer rubber appliance. Legs split out to about there. Forward and back, but again you're hitting resistance moving forward. Little bit better moving back, and again the legs split out. No swiveling on any cut of the thigh. It doesn't look like you can actually move it. The lower leg, however, you can very easily rotate all the way around, and he's got a double hinge happening here. NECA has again cupped over the hinge point on the lower leg, so you don't see the hinge. It's very well concealed. And then finally, rounding out the articulation, his ankle pivots, and he's also got forward and back happening. And technically, I guess you could rotate the foot all the way around. That would shatter, you know, any interior bone structure of his leg. But for the very least of describing in this review, you can rotate his foot all the way around. I have to admit, it's rather sad picking this figure up, because when I picked up this figure, I don't think news had leaked yet, or news had made the rounds yet, that Bruce Campbell was officially hanging up the role of Ash Williams. So it's almost bittersweet now that we're looking at this figure now. It's not to say that NECA may never release another Ash. In fact, I think even as we're speaking right now, there's still plans for a couple of Ash figures in the works. So NECA definitely is not done with the property. It's still sad, but we will certainly move on. And then there's always, you know, you can always go back and watch the previous Evil Dead films for your fix of Ash. I love the Ash versus Evil Dead series. I think, you know, part of me feels like I like just, if Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness solely were the ways that we got exposure to Ash, I would have been okay with that as well. Ash vs. the Evil Dead was a nice little love letter to fans, and again, it's sad that he's now hanging up the role. Speaking of this figure, I love this figure, and I love the head sculpt. In fact, I like this head sculpt a lot more than what we got with some of the earlier Ash releases from NECA, at least from the Ash vs. Evil Dead TV series. His colors are a little bit more muted, though, more relying on lighter shades of non-blues, non-reds, and non-browns, instead giving us more beiges, creams, and very dingy grays. I suppose what you could always do is take the heads off of these, take the head off the one that we got right here, and you could always swap it out with one of the previously looked at Ash vs. the Evil Dead figures, because I really do think this is a superior head sculpt. His accessories are few and far between, but at the very least, he still gets his chainsaw and his trusty shotgun. A really nice looking figure, and I'm definitely excited to have a look at the other two figures from this wave. I guess that is a little bit of a segue to tell you guys what the next couple of videos are going to be. So for fans of the Ash vs. Evil Dead, you got another 2 reviews coming your way. If you haven't had a chance to hit that little subscribe button down below, make sure you do so. Certainly many more videos, including the upcoming looks at the other Ash vs. Evil Dead figures, will be coming your way. Thanks for watching as you always do. I'll see you guys next time.